Welcome to the Keeley & Sons Inc. Employee Safety Orientation. This program provides the safety expectations, procedures, and responsibilities required of every employee. Your commitment to these standards helps ensure a safe, productive, and professional work environment. Section 1. Introduction and Safety Expectations. Before beginning work, you should have received the Employee Safety Orientation checklist included in your new hire packet. This checklist provides a structured guide for completing the required safety orientation for all employees at Keeley & Sons Inc. Follow each section as it is presented during orientation. Once all topics are reviewed, the checklist must be signed by both the orientation leader and the employee to document completion. The orientation is mandatory and must be renewed annually to ensure continued understanding of our safety expectations and compliance requirements. At Keeley & Sons Inc., safety is a shared responsibility. Every employee plays a critical role in maintaining a safe work environment across all of our projects, whether public infrastructure, bridge and highway construction, or private sector work. As a new member of our team, you are expected to actively participate in our commitment to a zero-injury workplace. Achieving this goal requires consistent communication, teamwork, and compliance with all safety procedures. Our priority is ensuring that every employee returns home safely at the end of each workday. Before work begins, identify the competent person on your job site. In most cases, this will be the superintendent. The competent person has the training and authority to recognize hazards and to take immediate corrective action. All employees must follow their direction and report unsafe conditions promptly. All accidents, injuries, near misses, and unsafe conditions must be reported immediately to a Keeley & Sons foreman or superintendent. Prompt reporting ensures proper medical care, timely corrective action, and accurate documentation. Reporting incidents protects employees and supports a safer work environment. Section 2. General Conduct and Site Rules. The use, possession, or distribution of illegal drugs or alcohol on any Keeley & Sons job site is strictly prohibited. Employees must report to work fit for duty and free from impairment. Anyone suspected of being under the influence will be removed from the site and may face disciplinary action, up to and including termination. The use of non-company issued cell phones is prohibited unless approved by a supervisor, as they create significant distractions and safety hazards. Camera use by non-supervisory personnel is also prohibited unless authorized. Under no circumstances may job site photos or videos be posted online or shared publicly. Violations may result in disciplinary action, including termination. Physical altercations of any kind are strictly prohibited on any Keeley & Sons Inc. job site. All individuals involved in a physical confrontation will be removed from the site immediately and may be subject to disciplinary action. Sexual harassment, discriminatory behavior, or any conduct that contributes to a hostile work environment will not be tolerated. Such violations are grounds for disciplinary action, up to and including termination, in accordance with company policy and applicable law. Keeley & Sons Inc.'s disciplinary action policy may be implemented when employees fail to comply with established safety requirements or company policies outlined in this orientation. The standard progression includes a verbal warning, followed by a written warning, and then suspension or termination as appropriate. However, depending on the severity or nature of the violation, the company reserves the right to advance directly to suspension or termination at any stage. These measures are intended to help ensure a safe, compliant, and professional work environment for all employees. Section 3. Emergency Preparedness and Job Planning. Each job site will have a site-specific emergency action plan. Employees must review this plan before work starts, so they understand emergency contacts, evacuation routes, assembly areas, and communication procedures. The emergency action plan will be posted with the EEO materials or kept in the superintendent's vehicle. Employees are responsible for knowing and following the plan. Before work begins, a pre-task safety risk assessment must be completed. This includes 3 key steps: assess, analyze, and act. First, assess the job tasks to be performed. Second, analyze the hazards and risks associated with those tasks. Third, act to eliminate or mitigate those hazards before beginning work. This process helps determine what PPE and safeguards are needed for each task and is critical in preventing injuries. Job safety analyses or other planning tools may be used depending on the complexity of the work. Toolbox talks will be conducted weekly or bi-weekly, depending on project complexity. These talks will be performed by the Keeley & Sons safety manager or superintendent, and all employees are required to participate. Toolbox talks address PPE requirements, critical job hazards, and other essential safety topics. Section 4. Personal Protective Equipment. Personal protective equipment is mandatory on Keeley & Sons Inc. job sites. Hard hats and safety glasses with ANSI Z87+ rated side shields are required at all times. Proper protective footwear must always be worn. Minimum clothing requirements include sleeved shirts and long pants. Shorts and athletic pants are not permitted. Additional PPE is required based on job-specific hazards. Class 2 high-visibility vests are required near operating equipment, and live traffic high-visibility clothing is required in all other site areas. Studies show that a large percentage of hand and arm injuries could be prevented by using appropriate PPE, specifically safety gloves. It is critical to select gloves suitable for the task. Workers must also plan hand placement, avoid pinch points, and maintain awareness to prevent injuries. Face shields must be worn when using grinders, cut-off saws, or performing tasks that may cause flying debris. Face shields do not replace safety glasses. ANSI Z87+ safety glasses must always be worn underneath. Hearing protection is required when noise levels exceed 85 decibels. As a general rule, if you must raise your voice to be heard by someone within 3 feet, hearing protection is required. Tasks such as pile driving require double hearing protection. Proper earplug placement is essential for adequate protection. Hearing loss is permanent and irreversible. Before wearing a respirator, employees must complete a medical evaluation, be fit tested for the specific respirator model, and receive training on proper use. Respirators only provide protection when they are properly selected, fitted, worn, and maintained. Crystalline silica is present in materials such as concrete, stone, brick, and mortar. Dust exposure can occur during cutting, grinding, drilling, chipping, or similar tasks. Exposure can lead to silicosis, lung cancer, and other serious diseases. Control measures include water application, mechanical ventilation, and vacuum systems. When engineering controls are insufficient or not feasible, respirators are required. The allowable OSHA exposure limit is 50 micrograms per cubic meter over an 8-hour average. Section 5. Site control and safe work areas. Danger and caution tape are critical visual barriers. Danger tape designates high-risk areas where entry is restricted and additional protection, such as fall protection, is required. Caution tape identifies lower-level hazards requiring heightened awareness. Never cross a taped-off area without authorization, and ensure barriers remain visible and intact throughout the workday. Maintaining a clean job site is essential to preventing injuries such as strains, sprains, and slips, trips, and falls. Walkways and aisles must remain clear. Materials must be stacked securely and restrained to prevent shifting or rollover. Flammable materials must be stored in designated areas. Equipment must be stored in an orderly manner. Hazardous waste must be reported to management or the safety department for proper disposal. All reasonable efforts must be made to prevent workers from entering areas where falling object hazards exist. Barricades, signage, barriers, and warning tape should be used to identify and restrict access to overhead work areas. When lifting or moving material, always think ergonomics. Work smarter, not harder. Stage materials close to the work area to reduce carrying distance. Plan your travel route to prevent slips, trips, and falls. Follow the 50-pound rule. If you must consistently lift objects over 50 pounds, request assistance or mechanical support. Bend with your legs, keep your back straight, and avoid twisting. Job sites with moving equipment such as loaders, excavators, dump trucks, cranes, and forklifts carry a high risk for struck by incidents. Always make eye contact with the operator and stay out of blind spots. Never assume an operator sees you. Use designated walk paths, stay clear of swing radiuses, and avoid standing between equipment and fixed objects. High visibility clothing is required at all times, and spotters must be used when equipment is backing or working in tight areas. If you're unsure about an operator's movement, stop, signal, and wait. Appropriate traffic control devices must be used on all roadway and railway work. Class 2 high-visibility clothing is required during daytime operations involving live traffic. At night, Class E leggings and a Class 3 ensemble are mandatory. An orange Class 2 vest is required for any work performed within 25 feet of railroad tracks. Section 6. Hazard-specific operations. High hazard and permit-required work must be carefully planned and controlled. Permit-required tasks include confined space entry and hot work. High-hazard tasks include excavations, lockout, tagout, and critical lifts. Before performing this work, a superintendent or designated project team member must review job hazards, required controls, and applicable permit requirements. Under universal precautions, all bodily fluids must be assumed infectious. Employees providing first aid or CPR must use appropriate PPE such as gloves and eye protection. Hands must be washed immediately after glove removal. All contaminated materials and PPE must be placed in approved red biohazard containers for proper disposal. Prior to excavating, identify the competent person for that operation. An excavation checklist must verify utility locates and protective systems. Excavations deeper than 5 feet require sloping, benching, or shoring. Soil classifications A, B, or C determine the protective system. Excavations deeper than 4 feet require safe access within 20 feet of workers. All open excavations must be barricaded to prevent falls. Employees may not enter a confined space unless properly trained and authorized. A confined space, 1, is large enough for entry, 2, has limited entry or exit, and 3, is not designed for continuous occupancy. If any criteria apply, contact the Keeley & Sons safety manager, as a permit may be required. The lockout tagout program protects employees from unexpected machine startup or the release of hazardous energy. All employees and subcontractors must follow LOTO procedures. No one may remove another person's lockout device or re-energize locked-out equipment. Unauthorized attempts to restart equipment will result in disciplinary action. All cords, plugs, and electrical tools must be inspected before use. Damaged items must be removed from service immediately and repaired by qualified personnel. Maintain at least 10 feet of clearance from overhead power lines. All 120-volt equipment must be protected by GFCIs installed near the power source. Hot work includes any flame, spark, or heat-producing activity. A fire extinguisher or water source must be available during all hot work. A fire watch is required during hot work and for at least 30 minutes afterward. Fire watch personnel must understand the pass method: pull, aim, squeeze, sweep. Only fight fires that are small and contained. Follow all no smoking rules and shut off ignition sources while refueling. Section 7. Fall protection. All work must be evaluated for fall hazards by the competent person. Guardrails, personal fall arrest systems, safety nets, hole covers, and restraint systems may be required. Any time an employee is exposed to a fall of 6 feet or more, 100% fall protection or prevention is required. All fall protection equipment, including harnesses, lanyards, connectors, and anchorages, must be inspected before use. Safety monitors are not allowed. Systems must limit free fall to 6 feet and prevent lower-level contact. A rescue plan must be in place whenever fall arrest systems are used. Employees must remain 100% tied off when transitioning between anchor points. Scaffolds must be fully decked and equipped with guardrails where feasible. Fall protection is required during erection and dismantling. Only trained and authorized employees may use scaffolds. Scaffold tags must be checked before use. Green means safe, yellow means fall protection required, and red means unsafe. Do not use. Section 8. Equipment safety. All aerial lift operators must be certified and trained on the specific lift type. A workplace hazard inspection and pre-use lift inspection must be completed before operation. A 6-foot self-retracting lifeline or approved fall protection system must be worn while operating the lift to prevent ejection. All rigging and hoisting activities must be performed under the direction of a qualified rigger and signal person. Loads must not be lifted without knowing their weight and verifying equipment capacity. All rigging must be inspected before use. Never walk under a suspended load. Barricade crane swing radiuses and use taglines to maintain control of loads. Before using any tool, ensure proper training, inspect the tool, and select the right tool for the task. Defective tools must be removed from service and tagged "Do Not Use." Guards may never be bypassed or removed. All power circuits must have GFCI protection. Always wear the appropriate PPE for the tool and task. All ladders must be inspected before use and rated for the required capacity. Ladders must be placed on stable ground, climbed facing forward, and used with 3 points of contact. Keep your belt buckle between the rails. Never use the top 2 steps or aluminum ladders near electrical sources. Extension ladders must extend 3 feet above the landing, be set at a 4:1 angle, and be secured. Section 9. Environmental and Health Safety. Under the Hazard Communication Standard, every employee has the right to know what chemicals they are working with and the hazards associated with them. Safety data sheets for all job site chemicals are stored in the superintendent's truck and must be reviewed before use. Make sure all containers are properly labeled, use the required PPE, and follow all storage and handling instructions. If you're unsure about a chemical or its hazards, stop and ask before moving forward. When the heat index reaches 80 degrees Fahrenheit or above in unshaded areas, or 90 degrees Fahrenheit or above in shaded areas, employees are at increased risk for heat-related illness. Prevent heat stress by drinking plenty of water, taking breaks in cool areas, and wearing lightweight, breathable clothing. Recognize and report symptoms early. Your orientation is not complete until you turn in a completed and signed employee safety orientation checklist along with your new hire packet to your foreman or superintendent. Remember, at Keeley & Sons Inc., safety is everyone's responsibility.